The director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Chittle, has released a statement, and in it she says security plans for the Republican National Convention this week has been reviewed and strengthened after the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Chittle said her agency is working with all involved federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to understand what happened, how it happened, and how they can prevent an incident like the assassination attempt from happening again. She says officers on the ground moved quickly during the incident, killing the gunman and implementing protective measures to ensure the safety of former President Donald Trump. Chittle adds that the agency understands the importance of the independent review that's been announced by President Biden and says the Secret Service will participate fully. Judge Aileen Cannon dismissed in its entirety the classified document case against Donald Trump on Monday, ruling that the appointment of Special Counsel Jack Smith had violated the Constitution, and her decision is sure to be appealed. In the stunning ruling, the judge, Aileen M. Cannon, found that because Mr. Smith had not named to the post of special counsel, his appointment was in violation of the appointment clause of the Constitution. Trump was charged last year with unlawfully retaining national defense information and obstruction by holding onto top secret documents after leaving the White House. He pleaded not guilty and was charged alongside two defendants who also pleaded not guilty. Judge Cannon's ruling has no impact on Trump's criminal conviction in Manhattan, which was brought by a local district attorney, not a special counsel. To further discuss this, I'm joined by Ejike Okpa. He's a global affairs analyst. Hello, Ejike. Thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Thank you for having me.
So would love to hear your thoughts or your opinion on Judge Cannon's ruling on the classified documents case and how you think it might affect the balance of power between the executive branch and the judiciary in the United States.
Well, good question. Federal judges in America are a very powerful position, and they can rule on something, and once they rule, either it rules in favor of or against the other party. So what happens in this case will be an appeal. The Justice Department, under merit, can decide to appeal it, or can decide, it's not worth it, because even if you file an appeal, the election is still going to be held. There's no time for all of that to happen. So, what is happening in the balance of power? The balance of power is still the balance of power, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. That aspect, they have just done what it is that they're supposed to do. In the American legal system, just like every other legal system in the world, when you don't get the judgment you want, you're very likely to be angry and say something. But this is how it is, and we're just going to look forward to what is next.
All right, so with this ruling, will there be potential implications for future investigations into presidential conduct?
Of course, there will be something. America is an unrelenting and untiring country. You just have to live here to witness it. Thank God for social media, for instant messaging. We can see what's going on. But for those of us that live here, every second is different from the last. And so, of course, our presidents are not kings. Our presidents are not monarchies. They are human beings. They have to, do what it is they have to do to stay, within the bounds of the law. They have immunity, but that immunity also has limitations in the sense there are certain things they cannot do. So we'll just keep an eye on them. Unlike other countries, when you say something against your president, you might get missing. In America, we can say stuff to our president, that's why we call them Mr. President, not Your Excellency or Your Majesty or Your Lord. So they recognize that, and they do the things. They are not perfect human beings. I don't look for angels in politics. I look for angles. At the end of the day, any one of us who steps into that position is going to get mud thrown at them. So that's not what we want. We just want to encourage them to do the job, because they are human beings. They get 24 hours in a day. The president doesn't get extra 1 second. He still has to go to sleep and wake up and say, what am I going to do to the best of my ability? Sometimes that best of our ability turns out to be something somebody else doesn't like, and they get what they get.
Okay, so but what about Trump's legal troubles? Do you think that it will impact his relationship with world leaders and also his ability to negotiate on behalf of the United States?
No, it's not. I mean, America is not the world. The world is interested in what America does because of the power and the influence that comes out of that office. But we don't care about the world leaders. They don't decide who we choose or who we elect as president. So whenever we elect that president, they have to deal with them until they're out of it. So the world, yes, we welcome the reactions and the feelings, but American voters have the ultimate right as to who they want to be in the Oval Office. As to, just like when Trump was there for the 4 years, we saw there were no wars. Everybody had to be in line because, he's one individual that got to the office without having been a senator or any other political office. He went straight from a business office to a political office. And established politicians just don't like it because the established politicians think, you have to go this route. There's this ABCD, climb, but Trump defied all of that. And so their resentment and the sentiments towards him is partly because of that, because he's defied all the political, permutations that have been put out on how to become president. And I think he's going to do a great job. And the other thing is that, if he had won the second term, his second term would have been termed a lame duck. But now he's more like getting a break. So he's coming back. And he's not going to be a lame duck. He's going to be just fully energized because, the best president is a former president who took break and come back and comes back to the job.
All right, Ejike, now let's switch back to the assassination attempt on Trump, which has actually raised concerns about political violence in the United States. How do you think this incident, compared to other instances of political violence globally? And do you think that there are lessons that can be learned from this, from international experiences in addressing such threats?
Well, security is local. Every president can tell you that when they wake up, they have to look at their own security details and make sure that everything is okay. You even saw in Japan that never had a political violence. A prime minister got stabbed, not killed by a gun, but somebody stabbed them. America has always had this sort of experience. Back in 1802 or 1804, the vice president, killed the secretary of treasury because at that time, the way they settled scores is you should just go across the yard and then you all shoot each other until we passed the anti-dueling law, and that stopped. And then, of course, Lincoln was assassinated, Kennedy was assassinated, there was an attempt on Reagan and an attempt on so many other presidents. It would never go away. So our security people keep improving. There are always going to be lapses because, these are human beings, So when they think they have it together, somebody else might find an angle or a loophole and do what they do. So for anybody in that office, as much as, people think it's a glamorous job, to be president of a country is not a glamorous job. It's not a celebrity job. It's a hard job. And, as much as you try to do it right, sometimes you do it wrong because we are human beings. And so this incident is just another example of what human beings are capable of doing. And you never know what is making somebody want to go home and say, I'm gonna do something, and they do it, and then we react. Hindsight in this case is always the best teacher, but it doesn't tell you what else is going to happen in the future.
All right. Now, President Biden's speech today emphasized that politics should not be a killing field. I would love to know, Ejike, do you believe this message resonates with the American public?
Of course, it resonates. I mean, I'm a Republican. I would hate for the same thing to happen to Biden. I want us to have the war of words. I want us to have very severe and vicious argument and debate about what, at the end of the day, Every American is entitled to a vote, and you have the right to exercise that vote. The billionaire doesn't get a billion votes. The millionaire doesn't get everybody. This is one thing that equalizes every American who is eligible to vote. One man, one woman, one vote. So I hope some people will pay attention to what the president said and say, you know what, we don't have to be like anybody else. Other people may want to be like America, but we don't want to copy what is going on in Mexico, in Nigeria, or China, or Russia. This is America. Every politics is local, and this is local to us. We just don't want to be killing our politicians because we don't like them. I think this is, in my own recollection of American presidential history, this is the first time an attempt has been made on a presidential candidate. Usually it is when they are in office. And it makes arouses some questions, because of the attempt to smear Trump, take him to court, for cases that are now falling apart, and then now the physical attempt on his life. Americans are saying, this is not the country we want. This is not the America that should be a symbol, of fairness, equity, and justice. But again, he survived it. And so we're looking forward to November 5. To where, see who will sympathize with him and vote for him, or those who say, to hell with it, I don't like you, I'm not going to vote for you. We don't do selection, we do election.
All right, well, thank you so much, AGK, for speaking to us on this.
Well, thank you for having me.